YouTube, what is going on, man? Welcome to my 2023 NBA playoff ranking series. Today I'm going to be ranking every single starting power forward in the 2023 NBA playoffs, and I will also be covering the center position over the coming days, so be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned. Now, these rankings are based purely off of who I want in the playoffs and not next season, and so I will be taking into consideration each player's overall skill set, as well as the role that they're asked to play on their team, as well as how they've kind of looked so far a few games into the playoffs. So without further ado, kicking off this list, at number 16, I've got Max Strus, who's had a great season last year, but he hasn't really found any rhythm this season outside of a crazy 31-point performance against the Bulls in the play-in tournament. His three-point shot has been iffy at best this entire season, and his defense has been non-existent, so this one's pretty straightforward, coming in at number 16. At number 15, I've got Nicholas Batum, who's actually been great for the Clippers all season long, and if you looked at his regular season play, I would have ranked him a fair bit higher. He is a very useful 3-and-D wing who can even play some small ball center. However, these playoffs, he's just been flat out awful in the opening round against the Suns, so I've got him at number 15. At number 14, I've got John Collins, which might be a hot take. I think that John Collins has just been underutilized, and as a result, he's inconsistent as fuck. His points per game and field goal attempts have dropped for the third consecutive season. He's got a career low in rebounds per game as well as his three-point percentage. And he's gone from basically what was a walking 20-10 guy with tons of potential to further improve to averaging 9.4 points per game in the playoffs last season. And now it's 8.3 points per game these playoffs on 40% field goal percentage and 21.4% three-point percentage. It's pretty crazy that today against the Celtics in Game 3, he had a quote-unquote good game relative to his standard, and yet he really didn't do that much. He doesn't offer much defensively either, because the way he's been trending, I just have no choice but to rank him here because everyone else knows their role and does something, whereas Collins is kind of stuck in no man's land on this Hawks team. And so I will be interested to see, what Quinn Snyder can do in a full offseason to revive his career, because he's a 10-5 guy right now at this point, and he's getting paid $125 million. So it might be a hot take. I don't know. If I'm trying to win a championship right now, I wouldn't want John Collins as my starting power forward. At number 13, I've got Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a great 3-and-D wing, and, he's very underrated. However, he has struggled shooting the ball ever since he left Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. He's shooting 30.6% from 3 in 26 games as a net, compared to 35.5% for the Mavericks, and he doesn't really offer that much more else offensively. And I do hate putting Finney-Smith here because I really do like him, and like I said, he's underrated, but it just so happens that the power forward position is actually deeper than I thought. And so at number 12, I've got PJ Tucker, who will turn 38 years of age in 2 weeks, and despite his age, he's still great at grabbing offensive rebounds, defending at a high level, and hitting his corner threes, although he's a bit more hesitant shooting them these days. So he's pretty much the same player as he was like 5 years ago, albeit he's declined ever so slightly. And I do have him over Dorian Finney-Smith ever so slightly just because he's a bit more playoff proven, and I think his role is more defined with the 76ers than Finney-Smith's is with the Nets, just because on the Nets, Finney-Smith doesn't really have that guy, the guy that can just set him up, dish and kick, which is where he thrives at when he played next to Luka. So I've got PJ Tucker at number 12. At 11, I've got Jared Vanderbilt, the Vandalorian. He's done a great job on the Lakers, and his only role really is to target the opposing team's best player and lock his ass up. He doesn't really offer much else other than defending and rebounding, and you'll be pretty lucky to get a corner three out of him, but he is the definition of knowing his role and excelling in his role, and Lakers fans are already mad in love with him, so he gets a nod at number 11. At number 10, I've got Torrey Craig, who might just be the most underrated 3-and-D wing in the league and is really proving his value now on the big stage. And so he's shooting 39.5% from 3 on the season, and he's averaging 18 points and shooting 62.5% from 3 games into the playoffs. And overall, the Clippers are leaving him wide open, and he's making them pay hitting his open shots. Defensively, opponents are shooting 3.5% less than their season average when defended by Craig, and I do have him ahead of Vanderbilt just because his outside shot is a legitimate threat, whilst he gives you probably about 90% of what Vando offers defensively. At number 9, I've got Al Horford, who has started at center for most of the season, but that's mainly because Robert Williams was out with injury, and I'm putting him as a power forward because I've got Brown on my shooting guard list and Tatum on my small forward list. And so first and foremost, playoff Al is a real thing, and he is fucking legit. This guy will coast the entire 82-game regular season, and then in the playoffs he'll randomly drop 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks on your head, which at a soon-to-be 37 years of age will probably take a few years off this guy's lifespan. And overall in the season, he finished second in the entire league in three-point percentage, at 44.6% whilst making 2.3 threes per game. His defense has also aged quite well too, similar to Tim Duncan in his final years in San Antonio, albeit not as good as Tim Duncan. And so overall, I think, look, Al Horford is probably one big playoff run left in the tank. And don't be surprised if he carries the Celtics to a win one night when the Jays are struggling. Just look at what he did in Milwaukee last playoffs. At number 8, I've got Harrison Barnes, aka the Black Falcon. Harrison Barnes is as good as a player as you'll find who's a jack of all trades and a master of none. He can shoot a bit, defend a bit, create his own offense in the half court. He's not bad at any of those things, but he's just not amazing at any of them either. One thing that he does do very well though, which I've noticed it's a random observation just over the years, is that he'll hit very timely threes, even back in his Warriors day, whether they were dagger threes or silencer threes. So, I mean, take that for what it is, but he's pretty much as good as a role player as you can get in the NBA right now. At number 7, I've got Draymond Green. And what can I say? The donkey is a fucking idiot, but there's no denying how crucial he is to the success of this Warriors team with his defense, passing, and I would say leadership in the past, but this is the same guy who stomped on his opponent and then punched his own teammate, so what do I know? But look, regardless, Green, in my opinion, is still easily the second most important player on the Warriors, and is still, he pretty much makes them either a contender or a fringe playoff team, I really think. At number 6, I've got Aaron Gordon, who I think there's a legit argument to be made that Aaron Gordon has been the Nuggets' second best player all season long, and definitely pre-All-Star break, although after the All-Star break, I do know that Michael Porter Jr. and then especially Jamal Murray did end the season very strong. And when you look at Aaron Gordon, he's the perfect power forward to pair alongside Jokic with his athleticism and switchable defense, and I think he's in a spot where he's clearly better than all the power forwards that I've ranked below him, but he's also slightly behind all of those that I've got ranked above of him, so I think this spot right here is just right. So number 5, I've got Evan Mobley, who is the best defensive player on the best defensive team this season and is leading the league in defensive win shares, meaning that out of every single player in the NBA, his defense has translated to the most amount of estimated wins. Offensively, he's still a bit of a work in progress, but he has shown some great improvement in comparison to his rookie year. For example, his true percentage has increased by 4.2%. He's also a great passer for his position already, and he will get better as he puts on some size and fills out his frame a bit more. At number 4, I've got Jaren Jackson Jr., the DPOY, and one of the most versatile defenders in the entire league. Jaren Jackson Jr. is holding opponents to shooting 13% less than their season average in the paint, which is absolutely elite. Offensively, he's one of the better stretch bigs, if not the best stretch big in the entire league, and a very solid third option for the Grizzlies, averaging 18.6 points per game this season, and he did go off for 31 points in Game 1 against the Lakers. So I've got him at number 4. For me, number 3 and number 2 are very close in ranking. Both of them are not really anywhere as good as Triple J, Evan Mobley, or even Aaron Gordon defensively. And both of them, although they're very good and talented offensive players, they do have a history of not playing very well in the playoffs. And so I do have them ranking above the other guys that I've just mentioned, just because their offensive ceiling is much higher, despite their postseason history. So at number 3, I've got Karl Anthony Towns. So Cat has yet to show that he can be a reliable number 1 or even number 2 option on a team with real playoff aspirations. If I'm being 100% honest, he's soft as fuck and he simply doesn't have that dog in him. But with that being said, Cat is extremely talented on the offensive end and easily the best shooting big man in the NBA. His fit with Gobert is questionable at best. I do think that Cat is better off playing center full time, whilst being paired with an athletic, switchable power forward who can cover up for his defensive shortcomings. Someone like an Aaron Gordon, for example. And so, the way I see it is I just want to see more emotion from Cat and more fire, you know? Like, if he played with the same amount of fire and energy that Anthony Edwards played with, he'd automatically be 20% better and definitely the number 2 player on this list. So, take that for what it is. At number 2, I've got Julius Randle. And in a vacuum, overall speaking, I don't know if Randle is a better player than Cat, but he absolutely plays with more heart and fire than Cat, which is why I'd want him on my team in the playoffs, which is what I'm ranking these guys based off of after all. If you need my star player to drop 40 points in a win or go home game, I'd take Randle over Cat any day of the week. To be fair, Randle has also yet to show that he's a reliable postseason performer, and if I'm looking at, like I said, that win or go home situation, it's probably more likely that Randle and Cat will both fail me, but take that for what it is. At least his 3-point shot can heat up in a hurry, and before you know it, he's got 8 threes on you. And so at number 1, this one's very straightforward, obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is the best player in the league right now. He's averaging 31.1 points per game whilst playing stifling defense, and will go down as one of the most dominant scorers in the game, despite not even having a jump shot. And so, yeah, this one's very straightforward. And that pretty much does it for my starting power forward rankings for the 2023 NBA playoffs. Obviously, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, whether you agree or disagree with me. Be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for the center rankings that are coming out soon. Thank you guys very much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.